Hey besties, my name is Riley and welcome to or back to my channel. So today I am going to be filming a March reading wrap up, and just like my other wrap up videos I've done, it is late, but it is here nonetheless. I am going to be referencing my book journal, so you've seen me look down. It's because I'm reading off of this. But grab your coffee, grab some tea, water, a snack maybe, and let's get started. So as I'm finding my page, I will tell you guys that I have been in a horrible slump. It has been absolutely awful. It has ruined my life. That's a little dramatic. Okay, so my last reading wrap up, I had, I think, two more books left in the Harry Potter series, and I promised that I would finish them this month, and I kept my promise. I finished them. I read Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. I love this book. It was 5 out of 5 stars. At the end, if you know, you know, I was sobbing uncontrollably. I called my roommate in, who's also a huge Harry Potter fan. I made her read that chapter at the end and she started crying and I was crying. It was just a mess. And of course, as you're expecting, I read Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And of course, I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. In my book journal, I claim that is the best book ever written. And I stick to that claim. I still do believe that it is the best book that has ever been written. It absolutely just healed my shattered heart in the way that only this book could do. It blew my mind away. I will forever stick to my word saying that this is the best book ever written. And yeah, you can disagree if you want, but you're wrong. It is that good. Because I felt so much for them and the characters, it put me in such a bad reading slump because of how empty I felt after finishing the series. So I picked up a book expecting to like it. It's Bright Side by Kim Holden. A lot of people really love this book, but I disliked it very much. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. The reason why is because I did not like the main character at all. To me, when I was reading it, I was just cringing because I'm like, this girl is such a pick-me girl. Like, if you know, you know what I mean, but if you don't, you don't. But it felt a lot like the book 8,000 Boy Kisses, and I've read that book and I really adored that book, but it kind of felt like the off-brand of 1,000 Boy Kisses, and I just wasn't here for it. I did not like the book. I would not recommend it, but I know a lot of people really enjoy the book, so it could just because I was in the slump, but who knows. In addition, I tried picking up the sequel and the third book in the series, Gus and Franco. Also did not like those at all. I DNF'd them, so I'm not even going to count them. The next book I read was The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. Also, it's pouring rain outside, so if you hear that, I'm sorry. This book was so good. I absolutely loved all the tropes in it. I was kind of expecting to be a little bit disappointed because of all the hype that was around this book, but it definitely did not live down to the hype. It was so good. It had workplace romance, it had, you know, fake dating, it had grumpy sunshine. It had everything and I loved it. 4 out of 5. The next book I read was Tell Me Everything, The Story of a PI by Erica Krause. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars, and the reason why I rated it 3 out of 5 is because it was really hard to get into. It was a very dry style of writing, if you can understand what I'm saying. And so while the story itself was super interesting, just really hard to get into. The next 3 books I read were kind of like a spin-off of the Harry Potter series. It's right here. It's like the Hogwarts Library box set. And again, because I was such in a reading slump, and while, you know, some of these books were really good, like The Spanish Love Deception, it did not bring me out of my reading slump like I was hoping it would. So when I saw this box set at Target when I was shopping, I decided to get it because A, it was really interesting to me, and B, I was hoping that it would help me get out of my Harry Potter slump by reading more Harry Potter books. The first book in the series is The Tales of Beedle and the Bard. 4 out of 5 stars. If you don't know, this is kind of like a fairy tale book for children in the wizarding world. I really enjoyed it. I liked Dumbledore's excerpts in it, and it definitely made me tear up a couple of times. The next book in that little box series is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I also gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was so cool to be reading the textbook that JK frequently mentions within the story. It's obviously a wizarding textbook, but it's written for muggles as fiction, and it really made you feel immersed in the world, and I really liked that. The only thing that I wish it had was pictures for the bees. There were some pictures for some of them, but not pictures for all of them, and that's the one thing that I would have wanted. And the next book I read, Quidditch Through the Ages. I gave this one also 4 out of 5 stars. What I've written in here is literally felt so immersed, loved. It had everything that you could want. It had like a library card. It felt like I was seriously reading a textbook that I checked out of Hogwarts, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. The next book I read was The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. The slow burn was amazing. It didn't even feel that slow to me. Like when I was reading this book, I was expecting it to be kind of like, oh, when is this going to happen? But it didn't feel like that to me at all. It was just very engaging to me and so interesting. I truly did have a hard time putting this down. It was just so good. They have my heart, and if you haven't read it, you need to go read it. I had been kind of putting it off for a little bit, and I'm so glad that I didn't. So, really good. 5 out of 5. With that, I also must mention I read Hands Down. I did not like it. I did not feel as a connection to Zachary as much as I felt I would have. So I DNF'd that. I'm not even going to count this because I didn't even make it past 20 pages. I really did not enjoy that book. The next book I read, and this is truly the one book, the last day of March, that got me out of my reading slump. My reading slump started the 4th and ended the 31st. That's how much I was in a reading slump and how much the Harry Potter series did me in. Like, it did me in. But I read The Maid. I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. It's by Nita Prock. I loved the main character. A main character that reminds me a lot of this one in The Maid is the one from The Kiss Quotient, and I sobbed like a baby in that book. I loved that book. So I absolutely also loved this book as well. Like, I could consider this girl like my little sister. Like, that's how much I felt a connection to her. But I never saw the twist coming. Like, there were parts, like halfway through the book, I remember this, I was sitting there and my jaw just dropped. Like, I was just like, because of what was happening in this book and the twists and turns and everything like that, and it ended perfectly. It wasn't like an ending where I was like, oh, this is going to happen, like this is not that interesting. It was like an ending where I was like happy that it happened that way. So total this month I read 10 books, including the 3 little box set, which is very short. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked today's video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. And if you gotten to this point in the video, comment a book that helps you get out of a reading slump, because I would love to know those so I could keep it on my list just in case I get into another one. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this video, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!